You still think those thoughts are yours. That inner voice. The one narrating your decisions, explaining your choices, justifying your direction, giving coherence to what you do, even after the fact. You trust it. Because it sounds like you. Because it uses your language. Because it remembers your history. Because it speaks from inside the walls of your own mind. But here's the part most people never question. What if that voice was trained? Not consciously, not deliberately, not through one single event. You could point to a name, but gradually, quietly, over time, by repetition, by atmosphere, by what surrounded you so often, that it stopped feeling external at all. The human mind learns by exposure. What you hear repeatedly becomes familiar. What becomes familiar starts to feel true. Not because it is true, but because it is known. And what is known rarely feels threatening, even when it is limiting. From early on, your environment begins to supply language. How to describe success. How to define failure. What is acceptable? What is risky? What is realistic? What deserves admiration? What deserves shame? What should be pursued? What should be avoided? What kind of life is worthy of respect? What kind of ambition is too much? None of these arrive labeled as external. No one hands them to you as formal instructions. They arrive as assumptions, as tone, as patterns, as reactions in the room, as subtle approval, as quiet disapproval, as things everyone knows. And because they arrive early, they slip past scrutiny. At some point, repetition crosses a threshold. External voices become internal dialogue. You stop hearing them as influence. You start hearing them as thought. Not because they became yours in origin, but because they became fluent in your voice. I should be further ahead. I need to be more productive. This is not stable enough. That's not a serious path. I can't afford to waste time on this. I should choose what makes sense. I need to be practical. These do not feel imposed. They feel like conclusions, like sober assessments, like maturity, like self-awareness. But most of them were inherited, absorbed before they were examined, repeated before they were questioned, and protected simply because they sounded reasonable. Once the inner voice stabilizes, something else happens. Possibility narrows. Not physically, mentally, perceptually. Before a person even acts, the range of what feels available begins to shrink. You stop considering certain paths, not because they are impossible, but because they feel wrong, unrealistic, impractical, embarrassing, dangerous to your identity. The mind filters options before they reach conscious evaluation. Entire directions disappear before they are ever tested. Entire futures are dismissed before they are ever imagined clearly. And what you call choice becomes selection from a pre-filtered list. A list shaped by repetition, by conditioning, by what your inner voice has already learned to reject. So the person feels free, while moving within invisible boundaries. This is where structure becomes efficient. A person does not need to be controlled externally. If their internal voice already aligns with the system, no force required, no pressure needed, no restriction imposed, no visible authority standing over them. The person self-regulates, self-corrects, self-limits, self-monitors, and believes they are being rational, responsible, balanced. This is not manipulation in the dramatic sense. It is conditioning through repetition, scaled across millions of lives, across families, schools, workplaces, cultures, platforms, across every environment, where certain values are repeated until they begin to sound like common sense. The most efficient system is not the one that cages the body. It is the one that scripts the voice within. Those who shaped history were not free from influence, but they questioned their internal voice. Not occasionally, consistently, not just when life collapsed, but as a discipline. They created distance between stimulus and thought, between assumption and conclusion, between noise and meaning, between what was repeated and what was actually real. That distance allowed something rare to emerge: original thought, Not reaction, not repetition, not refined versions of what already existed, not clever rearrangements of inherited assumptions, but something that did not belong to the system they inherited, something that could not have appeared inside constant mental compliance. The people remembered across time were not simply more talented. Many of them were simply less obedient to the first voice that appeared in their mind. When the external noise stops, something uncomfortable appears. Silence. And in that silence, many people feel something unexpected. Uncertainty. A kind of mental instability. A subtle loss of orientation. Because without constant input, the mind no longer knows what to think. It waits. It searches. It reaches for something familiar. A headline. The feed. A message. A voice. An opinion already formed. And when nothing arrives, it becomes restless. Not because silence is empty, but because silence removes the scaffolding. It exposes how much of thought has been prompted from the outside. So most people return to noise, not because they enjoy it, but because silence exposes how dependent the inner voice has become, how quickly it asks to be filled, how rarely it has had to stand on its own. Over time, something subtle happens. The inner voice stops asking questions and starts giving instructions. Optimized instructions, efficient instructions, safe instructions, socially legible instructions, aligned with everything that has been repeated enough to feel true. It tells you what is worth pursuing, what is too risky, what is too late, what is too unrealistic, what version of yourself is acceptable, what version should remain hidden. And slowly, original thought becomes rare. Not because people lost intelligence, but because they lost space. Not because they became incapable, but because interruption became constant. Because every unguarded moment was filled before reflection could deepen. And a mind with no silence eventually confuses familiarity with truth. To think for yourself is not a default state. It is a trained ability. It requires friction, discomfort, and distance from constant input. It requires resisting the urge to immediately resolve uncertainty. It requires noticing which thoughts arrive first and refusing to automatically trust them. It requires tolerating silence long enough for something that is not borrowed to appear, something not optimized for approval, not shaped for speed, not inherited from repetition. But most people never reach that point, not because they cannot, but because the environment never stops long enough to allow it, and because the first stages of independent thought do not feel empowering. They feel disorienting, awkward, so like standing without support, which is why so many people return to ready-made conclusions before anything original has time to form. You are not losing intelligence. You are not losing capability. You are losing authorship, the ability to recognize which thoughts are yours and which were installed, quietly, repeatedly, over time, through language, through expectation, through repetition so normal. It stopped looking like influence. And once you see it, a different question appears. Not, what should I think? But, where did this thought come from? Who benefits from it? What repeated it? What fear protects it? What would remain if I stopped feeding it automatically? Because that question is where independence begins. Not with rebellion for its own sake. Not with rejecting every influence. But with learning to separate what is truly yours from what merely became familiar. And from that point on, thought is no longer just happening inside you. It becomes something you can examine, something you can interrupt, something you can reclaim.